Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel APM Guide. As a part of our APM Advanced Concept series, in this video we'll see how to analyze the APM logs. Okay, so first of all, we'll understand what exactly APM logs. See, APM logs is nothing but APM log refers to detailed output generated by the APM server and the client during the automation testing of the mobile application. Okay, these logs help the testers and developer understand, debug, trace the execution flow of test scripts and behavior of the APM server drivers and connected devices or emulator. So this is the APM log. But in my point of view, if you see this image, okay, so you may confuse that I'm talking about the APM log, but I'm displaying the image of the APM architecture. Okay, in my point of view, the APM log is nothing but the theoretical description of this APM architecture. That means the what is the process is going on this APM architecture, that is a theoretical represented by the APM logs. Got it? So in simple terms, we can say the APM logs is nothing but the process of the APM architecture between the client and the server and the end device. So what all the process is happening, the theoretical represented in the APM logs. Okay, so we'll understand what exactly logs we have. See, if you see this document. So we have a life cycle of APM logs. That is, we have different type of logs. Yes, we understand the APM logs, right? Now we have discussed about life cycle of APM logs. That is, in the life cycle of APM logs, we have different type of logs. Okay, these all are different type of logs. I will explain each and every log with the architecture and the logs. Both we compare, we understand it in detail. Okay. So at the end of this video, we can understand what exact APM log and if anything it fails in our test execution, where we have to look. In which part of the APM log we need to look into it. Okay. And third one is the best practices for the AP analyzing the APM log. So what we need to use for best practices to analyze the APM logs and what are the things we need to do it. So we discuss about that one. Okay, the next is the conclusion here. Okay, so we understand what is the APM log, right? It is just the theoretical representation of the APM architecture, process of APM architecture, which is happening between the client, APM server, and end device. Okay, now we have, see, here we have client, APM server, and the end device. So if you take the client, my client is the Eclipse with Java client. Okay, my is the Java client here, APM Java client. Okay, I'm using the Eclipse as IDE to run the code. So this is the client, and this is the end device. Okay, in this architecture, so we have the end device and we have the client, but APM server is missing. Okay, so what we will do, we start the APM server here. Command prompt, open and type APM server. Means till now we have the client and the end device, but we do not have the APM server. Now I'm starting the APM server. So just type APM, click on enter. Please wait for the APM server start. Okay, now we have client, APM server, and end device. So all three we have, but there is no connection. Okay, till now there is no connection here. So if we see here, the first log is a server configuration log. Okay, when we start the APM server, okay, it displays the set of log here. See, it displays set of log here. If you see this log, it contains the information of log related to APM server startup, configuration parameters, plugins, and capability readiness. Means if I start the APM server, it displays the lines of log here. If you see this log, it says available drivers. What are the available drivers here? And available plugin. And if you see no plugin activated, if you want to activate, you can activate it. It means it provides the information about the Appium server startup, configuration parameters, plugins, and capability readiness. So this particular set is known as the server configuration log. So till here to here, okay, it is providing the server configuration log. Means it is providing the details of the plugins, drivers, and the version of the Appium and the Appium underscore home environment variable. All the information which is related for the configuration is provided in this part here. So till then we have the this Appium server log configuration log we have. Okay. Now the second one is session initiation request log. So what it exactly mean by? So now if you see this architecture, my client is ready. I have a code. I am using Appium Java client. Appium server I started here and the end device is there. Now I take one working code from the Eclipse here. Okay. And I just run this code here. Okay. So I am taking this tab demo W3 mobile gesture class to run this one. So just click on right click and run this code here. So that the Appium server will generate the log and we discuss more about the logs here. Okay. So please wait so that the code will execute in our end device. Now I am establishing a connection between the client, Appium server and the end device. So here my end device is the Android emulator. Okay. So please wait so that the script execution should complete. So I'm just using the tab demo here so that it generates the log. Then we discuss about the in-depth about the log here. Okay, it's pass. Okay, done. Okay, so now the connection is established between the client, Appium server, and the end device. So I'm sending the request from the client from Appium server. It went to the end device. Yeah, as you know, the Appium architecture is a multi-level architecture. Means client server here. Okay. Now, if you see the log, generate a log here. So previously, if you see the log, it is still here, right? If you observe, it is a no plug activated. So till then, it is the call as server configuration log. Now, if you second log, this is session initiation request log. Okay, these two lines of code. So just a minute, I will just minimize this one. Okay, the session initiation request log is nothing but incoming request from the client to initiate a new session with a desired capability. So this part is these two lines. Okay, you see HTTP request the key post slash session means I am sending the request from the client with the desired capability. You see the desired capabilities? So whatever desired capabilities we have mentioned in our code, say in our script, are sent by the client to the Appium server. So these two lines is known as the session initiation request log. Okay. So it says incoming request from the client to initiate a new session with the desired capability. So it is sending the desired capabilities here. Okay. And if you see the after this request is sent, okay, next we have the session ID creation request. So log indicates the creation of new session and generation of the unique session ID. Okay, see here what happened. The request came from the client and went to the Appium server. Here, by using the method called create session with these capabilities, okay, the request is sent. So from client, I sent the request from Appium server, it went to this UI automated through framework. Okay, here this request went, and here what is happening, if you see this one, Okay, this log. Okay, so request event here. Okay, and here the Appium server is sending this request as a Appium driver dot create session, and it is requesting the to create a session here to this UI automated to framework from here to here. Okay, so we come back here. So this is a session creation request which is sent from the Appium server to the UI automated driver. Here you see, observe the logs here. So this is the Appium driver, and here it says creating the session with the W3C capabilities. Okay, so if you see here, the fourth one is a session confirmation log. That is a server confirms session establishment and the log finalize the capability. Okay. So the fourth phase of this log, we have the session confirmation log where it generated. See, it says session created with the session ID. The session ID generated here. Who is generated the session ID? In this architecture, this particular UI automation 2 framework is generated the session ID. Means the session ID is generated here. Okay. And if you see these logs, okay, after session ID is created, the session ID is passed to from the ADB. From ADB it went to here. See, from here to here it went. Okay, that's why it said ADB. If you see the log here, till then it is Appium, HTTP client and Appium driver, and then Android UI automated to driver. This UI automated to driver means this area. Okay, and then if you see this an ADB. So ADB, what is this ADB here? Okay, this log is this set of log from here to see till here to till here. Okay, this log is known as, see, this log is known as, just a minute, this is platform specific initiation log. Okay, platform specific initiation log, that is OS specific startup steps. For Android it is ADB, for iOS it is WebDriverAgent. See, it is the ADB, that's why I told that. Okay, now the ball is here in this position. Okay, here it is there. Okay, that's why this log, this complete log, where it depend the ADB is known as the platform specific initiation log. Okay, so this is the fifth phase. Okay, now once this log is generated, next phase is a driver specific initiation log. Okay, if you see here, see, it says from ADB it moved to Android UI automated to driver. Okay, this particular log is known as the driver specific initiation log. Okay, that's why it says log tied to choose an automation driver UI automated to Expresso XUIT test. If you see, it is a Android UI automated to driver. This is the log called as the driver specific initiation log. Okay, and next is the command processing log. See, we are sending a command here, means I am sending some request here. So if you see here, the request I am sending from here. See, this is a request. Okay, this is a request I am sending to the Appium server, from client to the Appium. This wherever we have HTTP is the request from the client. Okay, I am sending the request to the client. Okay, this is my command processing log, that is capture all the user commands, clicks, taps, navigation sent from the test client. Okay, and we have the next log is the element interaction log. Logs for locating, interacting with the elements. Okay, that is the ID, export, UI attribute ID, all these things. Okay, if you see this log carefully, we have all the processes. Okay, we see you are sending the request, right? It will be here. Okay, see, this is the one. See, it says mobile click gesture, means I am sending the request from the client to the server, from server to the end device. That is a command processing log we have done. And next is the element interaction. So when I say click gesture, so this is not an element interaction log. Okay. And if you go on looking at these logs, okay, see, it says the XPath, class name, attribute ID. This particular log, this area is known as the element interaction log here. Okay, so why you see why I'm explaining this logs step by step here is when our script fails. Okay, suppose we are running any one script, it failed in one particular area. Okay, it failed. So in our Eclipse ID or something, it says this is failed and this log is generated here. So what normally we do, we just go through the script. So instead of going to the script, better to go to the logs. Okay, when you analyze, when you understand this log, complete anatomy of this log, okay, we can understand, we pinpoint where exactly this log is failed here. So if you know this, all the log, life cycle of Appium logs here. So these we have different type of logs here. Okay, we can understand. See, it is working fine. Yes, this is working fine. Means these steps are working fine here. So suppose it failed here. Okay, we analyze that. Okay, it failed here due to the command processing log or the element interaction log. Okay, basically, suppose our APM server started very fine, it working fine, in between it failed. Means what happened? There is some error or any exception. Okay, when the command processing is happening or element interaction. Basically, the errors or exception occurs here in command processing and interaction process. So that details is provided by the error exception logs here. Okay, details of the logs of failure, timeouts, unhandled elements, access them with the stack trace here. Okay, basically the errors exception occurs in these two logs only: command processing log, element interaction log. Okay, sometimes what happened? I have not started the Appium server, but I have clicked the run here. Okay, at the time the session will not form. Session ID will not be created. Then the error will occur here. Okay, so I will do that one also. What I will do, so I will complete these logs here first of all. Okay, so see, then next we have this log here, that is the session termination log here. Means cleanup operation, driver shutdown and session deletion log here. What exactly this log here? See, suppose I go to this end of this one, it says my session is still running here. I say Control C here. See, it says the closing the Appium HTTP server. Appium HTTP server has been successfully closed. This type of these three lines, these four lines of code, okay, is known as the session termination log. That is the cleanup operation, driver shutdown, session deletion logs here. So you can see here the, okay, it says delete session, the session ID. Okay, and it says the Appium shutdown is happening here. Okay, so this is the session termination log here. Okay, so what I will do now, once again I run this Appium log. Okay, I keep this one aside. Now I will run second Appium. See, now I not have, if it is architecture, I have the client, I have the end device, but I not have the Appium server here. Okay, so what I will do, I just say run. Wait, I just want to close this one. Okay, so I just say run. So it will throw a exception because the Appium server is not running. That means the Appium log is not generated here. Okay, it says it's exception. It says see, cannot start a new session. Possible cause is invalid address. This Appium server is not there. Okay, now I will start the Appium server here. Okay, Appium server I'm starting. Okay, now Appium server is started. Means we are in the this phase. Server configuration is there. Okay, now I'll do some errors. I want to create some errors here. Okay, so I don't want not to create this. It's a I not provide this cable this year. So I remove this one. Otherwise, I want to provide this X. See, instead of UI automated 2, I want to provide XC2IT test. Okay. Just run it. Means I am changing driver. I want to create some error here. Okay. Now I run this one. So it will throw a exception for us. So it says, okay, cannot start a new session. Okay. See, if you see this log, okay, the this particular is the session configuration log. See, session initiation. See, we are in the session initiation request log. So request I'm sending it here. See what request I sent it? Pixel 9, Android, automation name I have given XUIT test. This is for iOS, right? Okay. And this log is generated. The session ID creation request is sent from the Appium server. Okay. But here it says automation's name XUIT test. Okay, we want to create, but it not be created because we do not have the XUIT test driver. Okay, because we do not have the XUIT driver. Okay, means we do not have the X code here. Means I do not have the device here. Okay, that's why the session is not created. Here only got the error here. So this is one of the example I am giving here. So suppose wherever the error happens, okay, we can understand the logs and we know which phase of the in which phase of this test execution the error is occurred. Okay, then we can pinpoint out this one and we can fix the code. So we can know what is the problem with the, is there any problem with the test data or the from the command here. Okay, so that is the use of this Appium logs, and we should know this Appium logs, and these are the different type of logs which is generated in a Appium life cycle. Okay, and the next one is the best practices for analyzing the Appium logs here. So about this one, already I made a video on this one. So under the Appium server via command line here I am using a list of key arguments for the information retrieval, means the logs here. Okay, if you see this PPT, here I am using the, if you want to generate a log, always generate a log with the timestamp. So for generating the timestamp, I am using the double hyphen log hyphen timestamp. Okay, if you do use this argument, the Appium log is generated with the timestamp in the console output. Okay, and that is one thing. And we have one more argument called double hyphen log. Okay, also send the log output to a file. Okay, so here we had to provide the configuration log file here. So we had to provide the details where exactly I want to store this log file here. So this is one of the best practices. Always store this Appium logs in one of any file. Okay, whichever configure, send this log to a file. Okay, if in test execution fails, it can easy to analyze it here. Okay, easy to analyze the error or exception where exactly it occur here. Okay, suppose session creation exception means we are clear, we know that we not reached till this point here. The session, the error is occurred in this phase only. Okay, so it's easy to understand where exactly the failures happen, where exactly the problem is in the script, or is in problem with the server, is in problem with the drivers, or with the problem with the end device. So you cannot say that our script is working fine. Okay, and we cannot say that the error or exception occurred in the script. It may be happen in anywhere in this architecture. It may be, see, suppose I am using the Appium client, okay, version, very old version, and the UI automated driver is not installed. It may be happen. So then what happened? The request is sent from the client to Appium server, but driver is not available. Okay, means I not install the UI automated driver itself. Then the error occurs. So there, where this error occurs, when we are creating the session ID, means in this phase. So in this phase, the session error will occur here. Okay, suppose I do not have the end device. Say I do not have the end device, then the error occurs in this phase. Platform specific installation log, means these four logs will be generated here because the end device is not available. Okay, and if you see the command processing log and element interaction log, suppose I'm sending a command from the client. Okay, I do not have any problem with the client here, but it fails means I have some problem with the command processing log. Means some problem is there when I'm sending a command. Okay, suppose the element interaction. Suppose I want to click on particular element. Okay, the it is generated exception means I have given any wrong xpath or id or see it is a locator strategy. I'm using wrong one. Then this exception will occur in this space here. Okay, so if you read the log, we can understand that where exactly the error happened. Okay, so that is the use of this Appium logs. Okay, in conclusion, I can say that Appium log is nothing but the theoretical representation of this Appium architecture. Okay, so what all the process is happening in the Appium architecture, that thing completely is displayed in our Appium logs. This logs is the process. This one is a process happening in our Appium architecture. That is the communication happening to the client, Appium server, and in device. Okay, that is all about the Appium logs. If you like this video, click on like button, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.